Now? Is this now good? Now good? Now good
Well,
to
now
start?
you've ruined it. You got to wait again. No, you can go. It's fine. I'm just messing with you.
No, so yes, I was gonna be in the office today for this, and then it's snowing. And Seattle and snow do not mix well together,
You
and especially this time of year, and it's hilly. And so instead I am at home hanging out with Boris and Bella and the family.
you told me I should move to Seattle. It's just like California, but it's cheaper and there's less tax and everybody's nice and the weather's the same. And then now there's snow. So I think this is
Every
all lies.
everybody's nice. There's no state income tax. There's, I think, higher sales tax, but that's fine.
That's
Just you go to Oregon where they don't have sales tax, but they have people. You'll always make this mistake when you go to Oregon is someone will pump your gas for you. You're not allowed to pump your gas yourself. So you'll go there and you'll be like, well, when you're not using my car because my car is electric, but using someone else's car in the family. And all of a sudden the guy comes running out yelling at you at 2 a.m. Why are you pumping gas? And you're like, well, because dude, this is what you do here. What are you talking about? And they get very mad at you. And then you apologize and you think they would be used to it by now, but I don't know.
Look, this is why I have an electric car. I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yes, I never want to go to a gas station
Never
again in my
again.
life.
No.
Except,
So what are we talking about today?
except for snacks.
Oh, I mean, look, truck stop snacks. Hold on. What's your number one truck stop snack? What do you go for? Like
Corn nuts barbecue.
Corn nuts is a strong choice. Corn nuts will carry
If
you a
they
long
stink
way.
the car up, everyone knows what you're eating.
Look, I like the Cool Ranch flavored corn nuts because they make everyone suffer. Like it's nobody misses that. I'm a jerky guy, but I think given your lifestyle choices, that's probably off the table for you. What are we talking about today, Chet? What's the strat?
So for these dev blogs, sometimes we talk about like really big user facing things, game stuff and things we're working on. We had the event about the holdout mode where we actually did a town hall and let everyone talk with us about it and take that feedback. And sometimes we like to go a little bit behind the scenes and talk about like what's it like making a game. And so hey, when these things happen, why aren't you guys just instantly reacting, or why takes so long? Or what takes so long is always a thing of I know how it works, and I wake up some days going, holy crap. So
well, yeah, I mean, you make a series of decisions, and each of those decisions makes things take a little bit longer. It seems like, right? Like, oh, we're gonna make a game that has a bunch of art in it. That makes the builds take a little bit longer. We're gonna make a game that's on multiple platforms. That makes the builds take twice as long. And then these things cascade, and then all of a sudden you're looking at it's like, oh, all of a sudden it's 48 hours before you can do the fastest hotfix you can. So
yeah, and also the reason to talk about this is we're going to do what we call small update on Tuesday. So first, we're moving our update days from Thursday to Tuesday to give us more time to react. So in case something happens, we can just jump on it. We can own it. We can fix it that week. You're not going long. It's done. Awesome. And that will happen.
Just to be clear, this is happening because the last update we did had a bug in it that caused a small percentage of people, a small but not insignificant percentage of people to crash. And even though we jumped on it the moment we knew it was a problem, we still weren't able to get it out before a weekend, which felt bad for everyone involved. Yeah. I think it sucked for players. We felt awful about it. It's to be avoided.
Yeah. So we want to avoid that. So they'll be on Tuesdays. And so then what's a small patch? Well, so to know what a small and a big patch means to us is really how we think about it internally in how we map what we call the different builds. So, or the different branches.
Yeah.
So when I'm working day to day and I'm just throwing stuff in, I'm just throwing it in the main. It's in Perforce, it's in main, and we call that the daily playtest. So every day at 6 a.m. there's a build kicked off. It's built for us. So that morning when we do a playtest, we're playing the latest thing. Someone may kick off another one, but that's essentially it.
Well, hold on, but we need to go take one step further. So people who don't know, all the code and art assets and all the stuff that makes the Anacrusis a game lives in a online repository called it's run by a company called Perforce, and it's like GitHub for if you're just doing code. A lot of open source stuff lives in GitHub. There's a bazillion other. SVN was an old way that we did this in the ancient days. But it's our code repository is Perforce, and then we have a build server process that turns the code into game that goes both to our server hosting places, Steam, Xbox, the Microsoft Store. All of those builds then get pushed from Perforce into the building tool, and then that goes onto the places where it becomes like a thing we can play.
But so inside of Perforce, we just don't have one branch. We have multiple branches. So we have the daily, the main, which is the daily, which In Steam, it manifests itself as the daily playtest.
Yeah.
So when you make a build and it goes out, it's a daily playtest. We can jump in, and that's probably where we play the most. Of just really quickly, just like, let's just see if this works. Is this horrible? Should we go on to the
Like if
next
we want to
step?
test a new weapon or something that we know isn't going to make it into the real game anytime soon, we test it in that branch.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have staging, which is hey, staging, like right now, staging will mirror what's live, but staging also often at some point stops doing that. And then we have another branch, which is the live branch if we need to hotfix something.
But the staging branch is specifically like build candidates for the next live build.
Yes. Well, it holds for a while. And so, because it'll hold for a while, because what it does is, like in the small branch or in the small update, what we'll do is actually cherry pick what we call,
commits.
Some programmer will make some change in main, and he'll say, hey, can we just take this and move it into staging, because I want to have this be in the hotfix. And so we'll do it that way. And so these are handpicked things that go into staging, that we just don't move all of main up. We just handpick these. And so
sometimes that causes problems, right? Sometimes that causes like somebody will put a piece of code in that causes a conflict, and then that requires some manual work to integrate it in the staging build. Is that how that works?
Yeah, so sometimes. Often for these in particular, we try just to move over ones that are very self-contained. So we had something that we wanted to experiment with difficulty in this update that will not go in, because it's got its tendrils in so many things. We would have to essentially move all of main over into staging, and we don't. This is a small update time. We're not going to do that. So small update time means today we will play the build. We will play that build in staging. That got all the stuff that got moved over. We will play it on Steam. We will play it on Xbox, the consoles. We'll play it on Xbox, the Windows version, the GDK. We'll play it on all those different versions, and we'll be like, okay, how does this feel? Okay, good. And then if it's good and we're not going to touch it, we'll play it again, all in our QA team, and like everyone just plays it.
Yeah.
We'll play it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we'll play it again tomorrow, and we'll be like, if this is good, we're going to submit it to certification. Now, Microsoft's been really great with us. They've absolutely, if you've ever heard these old horror stories of like, you put it in a cert and 3 weeks and you don't know when it's going to come out, and oh my God, you cannot do cross-platform play with them. That's bullshit. That is entirely no longer true. They understand the world. They understand cross-platform play. They want to encourage it. And so one of the things they do is they make it really easy for us to submit something and have it be certified very quickly. And then we can release on all platforms. We'll probably submit Friday, just so it's sitting in there and waiting Monday morning and ready to go. Roughly, we may also submit it Monday morning. It doesn't matter. They're very quick on it.
It's usually less than 24 hours at this point, which is
yes,
magical.
And that goal is that at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, we'll be able to do the release. Now, we're saying this on Thursday. That's the plan. As with anything, who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Going on. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the plan. And so, this will have a good set of updates to it. Like we already have, I can go into Jira, which tracks our bugs and tracks also our features. And I can look and I can say, oh, okay, these are the things that are in here. Oh, we moved out the difficulty testing. Damn, I really wanted to get that in. Is there any way we can get that in? And off the conversation, because I'm like, hey, maybe we can get a rough version in. We can just get some feedback from players. And it's like, no, because it's going to have these dependencies and we can't test this. And we don't want to release something that's going to have a big negative impact.
Like, so a lot of the goal on the small updates is to get the stuff that's the most impactful for players and the least risky for us in the game and players as well. So like, because we know we're not going to have time to test this like we would a full release. And we'll hit it really, really hard tomorrow all day so we can submit it at the end of the day. It's sitting in the queue first thing on Monday morning when Microsoft's testers come online, whatever time zone they're in. But we don't want to do anything. Like, it's on us to find the problems at the speed at which we're operating with Microsoft for the most part.
Yes. Yeah. So this whole thing is, especially when we're in early access, we're trying to be agile and we're trying to react quickly. So we had tested something of allowing players to just instantly queue in and jump into games. What that's missing is a lot of people aren't getting, if they're not starting in a party, they're not being able to start at the very beginning of the match or the episode. And so that's one of the things that will be in this hot fix. It will then start, if you click and choose to start at the beginning of an episode or to play an episode, it'll try to start you in the beginning. And if you do quick join, it'll just join you wherever.
It turns out the quick join's kind of handy if you're trying to finish quests for the Infinity Pass, because like if you have join episode, finish episode 3, sometimes you just get matched into the end of episode 3 and you're like done in 20 seconds. It's maybe less fun than I was hoping for.
We should fix that.
I mean, it's look, I submitted a bug just before we started this recording, okay. So don't shh. Right. But yeah,
it's helpful if you want to just jump right in, and also if people are starting up games, they don't have a full team, that they can get the full team of people playing.
Well, and the other thing is we have less of a problem with people joining and then leaving now. But you're much like if you join a game in progress, you're much likely to have a team that's committed and is playing through than kind of the people that might dip in and dip out just at the start of an episode or whatever.
Yes.
So let's talk about the big updates then, because we've talked about the small updates. How did the big updates work? It's a more complicated thing.
So the big updates are, we have main, remember, everyone's throwing stuff in, and we move that over to staging. But now we have a problem, because there's just some people like Nate and Jules who will be working on episode 4 already. And they're like, hey, we're not ready to ship episode 4 yet. We gotta make sure that that's not included in the build. Mm-hmm. Or we'll have somebody like Daniel working on holdout mode who might be like, hey, we're testing this internally, but we're not ready for external yet. I want to hold this off, but yet you've moved my code up. So then we need to make sure that we're not shipping that, or we're shipping it in a turned off way.
Yeah, it's interesting, because like if we didn't do that, if we didn't have an ability to pull stuff back out, then we would be in a situation where literally we could only work on stuff every 4 weeks at a time or something like that.
Yeah,
which is not long enough for big features like even holdout mode or mod support or whatever the bigger features that are kind of next in our pipeline are. So yeah, it's the mechanics of this coming from like not a world of game dev, from tool dev. It was interesting because like normally we would just do 2 separate branches, like one that's the current branch, one that's the long-term branch, and every once in a while you'd copy them over. But it was a much slower cadence than we do with the game updating, sometimes bi-weekly.
Yeah, and so then the other thing we're going to come to is, so let's use episode 4 as an example. We're actively working on episode 4. It's playable now. We play it sometimes to test it. At some point, we're going to want to let players test it and not do it broadly. Like we're not going to, somewhere down the road, we will put it in the game and it'll be in the beta form and you can jump in and everyone can just play it.
Yeah.
But we're not ready to do that early because we need to get play tests. We need to get feedback on how it goes. That's how we work. We put something in, we iterate on it. The players get lost, what's going on. And so what we'll actually do is we'll create a private branch on Steam, which is outside playtest. And we'll just simply target one of those builds, either main or staging, to that output and say, hey, only make it here on this private playtest. And the cool thing now is we've only been doing this with Steam players at first because Steam makes it really easy to do this. But now Xbox has a way that we can easily do this with Xbox players as well. So if you're an Xbox player, at some point, we're going to start asking you, hey, can you test this episode with us? Can you test this new creature with us? Whatever new things we're testing that we don't want to put in the main branch yet because they're still too rough for that. We can now test it not just with Steam players, but we can test it with Xbox players as well, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, so we have the Xbox Insider Hub stuff all set up now. If you are a Minecraft or Halo or I mean, there's a bunch of other games that use it, but those are the 2 that I had signed up in my account already. You're probably familiar with this, but basically we'll set up a form at some point in the not too distant future that says, hey, are you interested in helping us beta test the Anacrusis? And you'll put in the email address that's associated with your Xbox Live ID. And then the next time you open up that Insider Hub, you'll see a big giant thing that says, hey, join the Anacrusis game preview and Insider Hub, and then we'll be able to give you builds that give you access to maybe things like director balance changes, or maybe new weapon testing, or maybe episode 4 mod support. If there's any number, holdout testing, whatever. We want to test more of that stuff more broadly because, at the end of the day, there's only 20 of us and there's a bazillion of you all. So, if for people who are interested in helping and seeing stuff a little bit early, everybody gets something useful out of it, we hope.
And with that, if you're playing those, or even just playing our game and you have future ideas, like always feel free to submit ideas or feedback. And the feedback can be, blunt. It can be just very frank. We do that internally. People go jump into random games, play with players, and then they write up reports and we share them and we talk about them. Because that's how we're gonna get better. We're an early access game, right? So early access means two things. One, it's not all the content yet, so we don't have all the game modes, we don't have all the episodes. The mods are still coming soon, but not yet. So we have all that still coming, but we also just have, how does it play? What is it like? How do you like how the mouse handles or the a controller? And so like all of those are things that we want to hear feedback on. And so if you set it before us and we've said we've heard it, we have captured that. There's documents we keep about that. Those spurred a lot of conversations. One of the things that other places I've worked, we would read all of this stuff and then never close what we call close the loop, which means give you feedback that we heard you, we're incorporating it or we're thinking about it. And so we try to do that a lot more here because I think that leaves people with this feeling that someone's not listening. We are. So be it the Steam forums, be it wherever or Discord or on the Xbox, anywhere that you want to communicate, do that. We will follow up with that. We will record that, and it helps make the game better. I mean, I've had people shoot me emails that helped influence some of the stuff that's going to be in the hot patch coming out.
There are literally 2 people that read every Zendesk ticket that's submitted at the support.theanacrusis.com address, right? We the Discord moves a little bit fast. Sometimes we may not see everything, but we definitely see the stuff that people are talking about. And we try to see everything. If we miss it,
Yep.
I try to, anything that I see that I like make a note of, I try to put a thumbs up emote on. So if you see those from me, it's a good way, or Boris sometimes, it's a good way to know that somebody's noticed and it's gone in the big feedback document.
And with the feedback, like go nuts, go crazy. One of the things is we talk about this internally of like, we should just try things, anything, bad things. Like we should be mixing it up. And so some of that is we actually do what we call Discord challenge now. So if you come over in the Discord, even if you're playing on Xbox, you can do this. Come on over to the Discord and check it out. And so like this week's is play episode 3, trying to kill the fewest possible aliens you can. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Is it weird? Who knows? Let's try it because we learn a bunch of stuff from that. So like we had a challenge last week, which was kill the most aliens that you can in episode 1. So what we quickly realized is there's a couple places you can just stand and do that forever. And then it became a question of who has the most time on their hands to get the highest score.
Yeah.
That's not an interesting competition because that's just literally who has time.
Or who can ice their opponents the most effectively when they come into their Twitch stream with a made up bogus number. It's the other approach.
That you fall for psychological tricks is not my fault.
This is a workplace full of trust and caring, and I was told one thing was true.
That was not on work time. That was not on work time. That was on your personal time.
Anyway,
free game.
Hashtag not bitter.
But seriously, like our Discord, we listen to those. We're gonna try some of those. There are going to be some wacky ideas. I mean, someone I was talking to the other day was just like, well, what if you just had 4v4 playing through an episode where the aliens were the smash car and you were actually able Liu versus Liu action? I don't know if I want to do that. That's not really our kind of game. We don't really have human on human violence, and that's kind of something important in the way that we think about players working together. But it's an interesting idea. So we're at least going to consider it and talk about it. And so bring up crazy ideas, and some of those we'll try.
I think we should do races, Chet. I think we should do like head to head 2 4-person teams against each other and do like a bracketed tournament where we just see who can power through an episode first. It's a bad idea, but I think it'll be stupid and fun. Which is kind of like it's kind of stuff emerges from this. That's the idea. One thing I wanted to note. Different categories of feedback. We have feedback on the current game. We have suggestions for things that you think should go in a future update or build or new mode or whatever. And we have bugs. And the feedback on the current game is like, it's stuff like, hey, I think that the current game is too difficult. That's not a bug. That's just, hey, I don't think this is working well for me right now. A bug would be, when I get to the end of episode 2, then there's a hole in the ground and I fall through it and I die, and it made me really sad because I had a cool loadout and now it's gone. Or like I died and a bot didn't respawn me. He just looked at me with dead eyes, and eventually I was sad and we all wiped as a team because the bot didn't bring me back. So keep that in mind. Let's see other stuff. Is there anything else we've forgotten? I think we hit all the high points here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so that is like, so when you give us that kind of feedback, so when you give us bugs, we try to fix the bugs as quick as we can. So those might be in hot fixes, those might be in big updates because sometimes they're intertwined with other things. Feedback and suggestions. I think I really want to start every big update, which being once a month. We try something. We try something wacky. I'm really hoping soon we're gonna be able to try holdout mode, and it'll be in a rough. It'll be the very first early stage. Like we had, what is the minimal viable product that we can put on into players' hands, get some feedback, and start learning.
The
And so we'll try these things.
I was going to say the other place we're doing some kind of interesting experiments are in the weekly challenges, like the ones that are built into the playlist that's built into the game. This week's is called The Works, which I think Rob put all of the things, all of the modifiers that are in. So it's, you start with no weapons, enemies take more damage. It's episode 2, I think. And if you die or wipe, you restart at the beginning. So if one player dies, you go back to the start. Now, like, we've seen players beat episode 2 in 8 minutes and change. So, put together a good team. Take a shot at it. It'll be fun. You might learn something about yourself. But that's what we're up to. And again, like the difference between the big patches and little patches, like often things will slip from a little patch to a big patch simply because it touches like the bug. The bug is not affecting too many people, or it's mildly annoying instead of actually bad. And it touches so many things that we're afraid to make a significant change to it. So like for that reason, probably big director updates, like updates to the main playlist director, probably are big update things for the most part. But we might roll out a new difficulty mode as an optional playlist to kind of test the waters on a small update or something like that. So anyway, that's updates. We do them at least once a month and sometimes twice, I guess, is where we're at.
We're doing them more than twice a month. But
so far, yeah.
The idea is twice a month, a big one and a small one, and to be consistent about that, and so that we were able to collect things, and like essentially collect the pain points and fix those, and then have the bigger ones, which was our statement of kind of here's the next steps.
I was the one thing we didn't touch on that we did say we wanted to talk about was the time it takes, and like break down from all the code changes are submitted. Somebody, usually Jeff, hits a button and that generates a build. And then we're looking at like 2 hours to make the builds for all the different platforms, Steam, Xbox, Windows Store. The servers need a build as well. Get that stuff out to the appropriate places, even with really fast internet.
Deployment takes some time.
Yeah, and then it's 20 or 30 minutes for everybody to download it and have Steam unpack it on your computer. And so realistically, it's like 3 to 4 hours usually from the time we say, okay, we want to test something new to the time that it's live and we can do it. And then, so like if we do a patch on Thursday, we're not able to test a change until noon or 1 on Friday. And then if there's another change on top of that, we're another 3 or 4 hour cycle. And we have to like, it's basically, we get 2 loops a day if everything goes right. Yeah. So sometimes it feels like the fastest we can move is still very slow, and we know that's frustrating for people when they're dealing with a bug.
Yep, but it's also very important that we do have that process where we actually test things. We test them on all platforms. We test them connecting together.
Yep.
We kind of run through all of that. So yeah.
So that's it this week. Let's see who can get the least kills, and I want to know if you beat the works, because I think this one's going to be the hardest of the weekly challenges we've done yet for the people who want the high challenge difficulty level.
There you go.
See you all next time.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.